Everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here with my continuation of my mini album for all the books that I read in 2018. This is the month of October, and in October I read 13 books. So it's going to be a sort of a longish video, but I'll just tell you at the beginning, what the process that I do to get all these done at once, and then we'll talk about the books. So the first thing I do is I had this little mini book stamp, and I stamped it out hundreds of times and on a vanilla sheet I have those ready, and then when I start a month I just cut them apart. I have another stamp that is a round stamp with numbers, and then I just start on each side of like the book I put a number. So this month it starts at 94 and it goes to like 106. So 13 books. So I do that first. Once that is all done, my pictures are printed. I print my pictures on my pick frame app. I do the ratio at the top of your app. I put it at 4:3. I choose the 2 picture frame, and then I put the pictures in that. And the pictures, I get them from Goodreads. Take a picture with my cell phone, size them so that there's no black space, so it's just the book. And then once all that is done and printed, I cut them apart. Now I'm at the spot where I go through my Project Life cards, and the Project Life cards I'm using this month is the Kiwi editions from Project Life Becky Higgins. And I'm liking that this project is using a whole bunch of cards. And what I'm doing is every month I just choose a different collection. Like, I don't go through thousands of cards trying to find the perfect card. I just look at the book, see the color that it is, and then I try to find cards within that pack that will coordinate, because otherwise this could be a process that could take forever. Then I glue down the pictures on each of the cards. Once that is done, then I take the little books that I put together with the numbers and I stick them on the appropriate book. And how I know which book I read first and so on and so forth, again, I'm on Goodreads and I just kind of see which in the order that I read the books. Once I have those glued down, I have a little stamp that has a 5-star rating. And I'm going to glue them, or I'm going to stamp it rather, on each of the page where I'm going to do the journaling about the specific book. Once that is done, then I go through the stickers that I put with this project, and then I just make little embellishment clusters. I don't make anything too crazy or fancy, just something so that there's a little spark of color, and then I color in the rating. I do some journaling, and it's just a nice little album. It's a 6x8 album that I can flip through and see what I read in 2018. Now, while I'm putting the rest of these cards together, we'll start talking about each of the books, because I have 13 books to talk about, so it's going to take me a little bit of time. So the first one I read in the month of October, I think I had started in September, but I finished it in October, is This Song Will Save Your Life. And this is by Layla Sales, and this is a young adult contemporary, and it's about how this young teenage girl uses music as a way to cope with life, and more specifically, she becomes a DJ. And it's super cute. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read for me. The next book I read was a Frederick Bachman book, and is Us Against You, and it's the second book in the Beartown duology. And this I'm not going to talk too much about this book because it'll have spoilers for the first book, but the first book is about this small town and their hockey team, and you know how much I love hockey, so this book, I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read for me. The first book was a 4.5-star read for me, and this one was a 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I cried. It was such a good book. The next book I read was Good Luck Charm by Helena Hunting, and this is also about hockey. And I think because I loved Us Against You so much, I knew I had this book in on my Kindle, so I had to read it. And this is about a guy that is in the NHL and about his high school sweetheart and how, they broke up when he got drafted into the NHL, and now he's back home and it's them kind of reconnected. Super cute book. It was a 4-star reading for me, adult contemporary. The next book was 99 Days by Katie Cotugno, and I really like Katie Cotugno, but this book wasn't my favorite, and I'll tell you why. This is a young adult contemporary, and it deals with this girl and 2 brothers, and so there was quite a bit of cheating in this, and it's not my favorite thing. It's not my favorite plot, and my biggest thing is that she didn't learn from her mistake. So I gave it like a 2.75 rating. The book was entertaining. I just wish that I didn't like the cheating part. Now, there's a second book to that, which was the next book. I liked it enough to read the sequel because I've heard a lot of people say that the sequel was better. The sequel is called 9 Days and 9 Nights, also by Katie Cotugno, and I did enjoy that a whole lot more. It was a 4-star rating for me, and she had some character growth, so that's why I liked it much better. The next book is Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills, and I've talked about that author before. I absolutely love this author. This wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it was a 4.25, 4.5, so I really enjoyed it. It's a young adult contemporary about teenagers and growing pains, and it's about this girl that feels that she doesn't fit in the school, and she ends up hearing a popular couple fighting and breaking up, and how the story develops from there. And I super enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a 4.25 read for me. The next book that I read is Sadie by Courtney Summers, and this is a young adult mystery thriller contemporary about a girl trying to find her sister's killer. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was like a 4.25, 4.5 read for me. Really enjoyed it. I know that Courtney Summers is coming out with a new book in the new year, and definitely going to be reading that. I guess I should tell you which ones I've read, if I've read it in audiobook or physical book. So the first book, This Song Will Save Your Life, was a physical book. Us Against You was partly physical and audiobook. Good Luck Charm was an ebook, so on my Kindle. 99 Days was a physical book. 9 Days and 9 Nights was a Kindle book. Foolish Hearts was a physical book. Sadie, I read it on my Kindle. I listened to it a little bit on audio, but I did most of it reading. Next, The Wicked Deep. I did read a physical book of that. And this is a thriller, I guess, contemporary mystery. It's about a small town near the water that they executed 3 girls years and years, centuries before, and for being witches. Now, centuries later, these 3 girls come back every June and take over the body of girls from the town, and then they end up drowning some of the boys from the town as, revenge on the town. Really loved that book. It gave me the feelings of like Hocus Pocus, which was one of my all-time favorite movies of all times. So I gave it 4.5 rating. Absolutely loved it. The next book was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. That was a mixture of listening to it on audio and reading the physical book. This was like a 700-page book, and I read a ton of books this year, so or this month. So I did listen to some of that on audiobook, and some of it I did physical read. This is a new series in the Shadow Hunter world following Emma and Julian. 5 stars. If I didn't mention it, it was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I read the first 2 series by Cassandra Clare. Absolutely loved it. The only reason I put this series on hold is I don't like waiting for the end of a series. So I was waiting till the last book in this series was going to be published. So this last book for this series is going to be published in December. So I read the first book in October. I'm reading the second book right now. And then I'll be done just in time for when the third book comes out, and then I can just like binge read it, 1 book a month, right? So I'm loving this series. I knew I was going to love it because I just absolutely love that series. The next book is Finding You by, I can't see it on the book, sorry. But it's Finding You, and I love that book. I was so lucky this month. There was only the one book that was a 2.75 rating. This was a 4-star read for me. This is a young adult thriller, I guess. It's about a girl who gets taken and sold into sex slavery world, and her fight to get free, and before she gets killed, because that's basically what they do. They take them, use them, and then they kill them. So it was so good. Like I said, 4-star rating. The next book I read is Empire of Storms, which is the next book in the Sarah J. Maas series, and that's another one. In October, the last book was published. So, I read Empire of Storms in October. Right now, I'm reading Tower of Dawn. And in December, I'll be reading the last book, Kingdom of Ash. I really like reading one book after another. This is one book that I completely listened to on audiobook, and it was a 5-star read. I can't tell you too much about this book in particular because it's like the 6th, 7th book in a series. But it is the series is Selena Sardarthian, which is a assassin, and she makes a deal with the king to become the king's assassin for her freedom. And the world builds on. That's just the first book, and after that, it builds on from that. And I'm really enjoying that series. I know some people don't. It's or yay for me. I'm enjoying the series. Love it. I can't wait to read, the next 2 books. The next book that I read is Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was my first Taylor Jenkins read, but I can tell you it will not be my last. I absolutely love that book. It was a 5-star read for me. I would say that I cried for about 50% of the book. Oh, it was so heart-wrenching, but it was so good. This is it's an adult contemporary, first of all, and it's dealing with a loss. Oh, it was so good. I think this month I'm going to read another Taylor Jenkins Reid book because, already I can tell that she's going to be a favorite author. Love it. I already have the second book from her that, I'm queuing up because I absolutely love it. The last book that I read this month was the end of a trilogy for me, and it was The Midnight Star by Marie Lu, and that was my favorite of all 3 books. I have to say, I thought I was just going to, read some of it in October and finish it in November because I was reading, I read 3 books at a time, and I thought I was going to finish another book. But because the other book was shorter, but as soon as I started reading this book, I just couldn't stop. I had to know the ending, which, by the way, ripped my heart. I love the ending, sorta. it was so sad. But it was like a 4.25 read for me, and all the other books, or 4.5 even, and all the other books in the series was like a 3.75 to 4-star rating. But absolutely love this book. So this was, I'm at 106 books completed for 2018. This is the most books I've read in a year ever. Like I used to be, I have to say though, years ago, I never used to count how many books I would read in a year. So probably when I was a teenager, I probably read that many books because I used to read quite a bit. But ever since I became an adult, this is the most books that I've read in a year. And you got to think, you know, I still have November and December. So if I read 10 books a month, which has kind of been my average, I'm going to have close to 130 books read this month or this year, which is crazy. But I'm enjoying all the books that I'm reading. Again, how I do it is I make a TBR every month, and then I figure out how many pages I have to read for that month, and then I figure out how many pages I need to read per day. And I usually have between 3 and 5 books on the go at once. I have an audio book, I have a Kindle book, and I usually have 3 physical books. And 2 of those physical books are usually like big honkers. They're 600 and plus, you know, pages in a book. And then those books, I divide them, you know, I figure out how many pages I need to read per day to get it done. And then one of the books in my pile that I'm currently reading, that's the book that I will focus the most on. So I'll read maybe, you know, 50 to 75 pages out of that book every day. And then that way I get so much more done, you know, so much more read than when I was reading only, you know, one book at a time. This way I seem to be flying through the books way faster, and I don't have any issues getting the stories mixed up. I can keep them pretty separated. And that's it. That's going to be the end of this video with my mini album for the month of October. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And actually, if you're not new to my channel, if you want to get notified that I am uploading videos, you now have to click that little bell or you might not get a notification. And if you're enjoying these videos, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.